Hello, thank you for taking part in an interview with Ladywood Unite. My name's Andy Northcott. I'm part of Ladywood Unite, and just to confirm, we as Ladywood Unite do not support any particular party or candidate, but we want to get to know you and your views better, and this interview is recorded and will be posted on our website and our YouTube channel. Just checking that you're okay with that.
Perfectly fine, Andy. Thank you.
Do you want to just introduce yourself for those listening?
Yes. So my name is Shazna Muzammil, and I am the Conservative parliamentary candidate for Birmingham Ladywood. I'm originally from Milton Keynes. I'm a local councillor in Milton Keynes, and that's a question that I get asked all the time. It's like, why are you in Milton Keynes and coming up to Birmingham? So when I wanted to apply for a seat to stand as a parliamentary candidate, I was given the opportunity to pick any seat that I wanted. And I picked Birmingham Ladywood. And so we go in front of a selection panel. So there were 3 others as well. And then they ask you questions, and the membership elects you to stand. So that's how the process works. And I've put my name in the hat simply because I've been coming up here for a long time, from the time I was a child. I brought my children up here to Birmingham, and I've seen it change. Some bits for the better, but like most of it, I feel like it's been for the worst. And that's why I wanted to put my name in the hat, because you've had a constituency MP, you've had an MP there, a Labour MP for the last 14 years, who I feel hasn't contributed to the needs of the residents living there to the way it should be. So because of that, and that's why I put my name in the hat.
Okay, thank you. So it's been, I guess, a busy campaign so far. How are you finding it?
Yeah, it's been fantastic actually, because it's opened my eyes to a lot of the issues that's going on. I went into Birmingham thinking I know the problems what the people are facing, but I've had the grand opportunity of talking to so many people. And I've seen the best bits and I've seen the worst bits, which is really, really it's quite upsetting and sad, and there's so many things I want to do. So yeah, it's been a fantastic experience. Yeah.
Can you just give us a sense of what perhaps some of the key issues are, that particularly relating to Ladywood, as you've spoken to people in this area?
Yeah, so while talking to people, I've seen some of the worst bits for me has been, the level of deprivation, child poverty, the high levels of unemployment, and the lack of opportunities, which I've seen, which makes it harder for people to better their lives. And some of the best bits also that I've seen is the way the community is coming together, like yourselves, to fight for the community. It feels like the council, your MP has all isolated you, and it's been fantastic, even with the homeless, the teams that I've visited, the way they're coming from the people that's bringing in the food to the people that's volunteering to support the homeless as well. It's been fantastic to see this community spirit. Some of the things that I have seen that really, really that's concerning and I would like to change is, again, support all the residents with the Ladywood regeneration plans. It's affecting a lot of them. That's something I hear on the doorstep all the time. Homelessness, sadly, is on the rise in Birmingham, whereas it should be going the other way. What else? So again, like I said, the lack of opportunities, the deprivation, the fact that our children in Birmingham are not getting the same level of education and skills support to better their career opportunities once they come out as well. So there's a lot that needs to be looked into, and a lot that I would like to.
So thank you. Obviously, the regeneration is the big one for us at Ladywood Unite, although we appreciate a lot of those other factors are really significant for us and our community. Yeah, what as an MP is your remit to intervene in the regeneration? How much power will you actually have to shape what happens? What do you feel you could do for us?
A lot. So as your MP already, they should be sitting down with you and having these conversations. So at the moment, this is something the council wants to do. And you have a Labour council, you have a Labour MP. So it's important to understand those dynamics. Your Labour MP should be stepping up, working closely with the council to make sure that the residents are included in these consultations, statutory consultations. These are bound. This is a legal requirement. So residents must be allowed to have those conversations. And as an MP, you get to be a part of that. You get to be that middle person getting everyone together. So that's a really important space to be in, because you are elected by your people and you have to represent them standing next to them. So that as an MP, you have the opportunity to work with the council as well as the developers. One of the things I heard again also is the residents are worried about the CPO losing their equity, again, the breaking up of the community that they're living in and all. So as an MP, you can make, we can make sure that you get that correct market valuation for your property. We can,
You say that you can make sure that we get it. Can you just elaborate on that? Because obviously you're having to deal with the developer and with the council,
yeah.
particularly if you were working with a Labour council. How would you make sure that that happened?
So it is your duty to be stepping up to make sure that the residents have the proper market value offered when you're given that compulsory purchase order. It's something that the council will be doing, and then you can work with the council to make sure that that happens for the residents. The MP also has a remit to hold the council accountable for everything that they're doing and that they're not doing. And another thing the MP can do is also work very closely with the councillors to make sure that everything is questioned. If a resident is raising a concern, this has to be raised in council as well. Again, I understand that there's no master plan in place yet. It's very much in a consultation stage. You still have opportunities to get involved and build on that resident and community charter. So even the MP can contribute to that as well. And that is based on what the residents are telling the MP. For that, the residents should be engaging, the MP should be engaging with the residents.
Let me just, at that point, just put in a plug for the getting involved in the workshops. I think there's a final workshop. Well, there's one today, and then there's one on Friday the 5th. So if you haven't signed up yet, residents, sign up to attend that. That's really important. You said you would hold the councillors and the council to account. What would that look like, holding them to account?
So that, if, for example, if they're pushing for certain plans that is going to split up the community, you have councillors in Ladywood that are meant to be representing you. So you have every right to go and ask them why they're not doing this, or speak to them. You can speak up in council as well. And holding them to accountable is very important, because remember, it's your money. It's your taxpayers' money that's paying their bills. You're the ones who voted them in. And
you don't have to convince us that they need to be held to account. The question is how, and what role could you play in that accountability process?
Yeah, so asking for them to bring the so for example, if the consultations are not happening properly, asking the council to make sure that they're happening properly, make sure that they're all brought around the table together, help set up a steering group if necessary. If the council is struggling to get funding, that's going to affect the residents, make sure that the MP steps in to do that. At the same time, holding them constantly, questioning every single thing. Another thing the MP can also do is, if they're not doing what is needed and not stepping up to support the residents, is they can also call in the planning application. So this means the Secretary of State has the power to request the local planning authority to refer an application to him for decision. So if you're thinking that this is not going to work the way the council is offering, these are things that MP can stand up and hold the council accountable, and thereby make sure that they, push for things like, calling an application in and
Sure.
giving it over to the Secretary of State to have a look at it, where again they start up a consultation process as well. So there are a
And
lot of things that the MP can do. MP can also meet with the developers. MP can,
sure.
support with getting more funding as needed as well.
I think what one of our questions would be that if they are doing it by the book, as it were, but that the result would seem to seriously disadvantage, particularly financially, residents. Particularly, let's talk about the compulsory purchase orders. They might be doing it by the book, but what could you do if actually the residents feel we're really getting a bad deal here?
So again, one of the things that you can feed into the resident and community charter is to hold the council accountable by saying, do the procurement within the government framework, right? So when you're doing that, you have reputable developers in the government framework. So you can push for that to happen. So when a reputable developer comes in, and you can work with them to make sure that these compulsory purchase orders are, the residents are compensated as per the current market value of their house. You can push for an independent evaluation. Again, making sure that this is done in a timely manner without putting the residents under duress.
I think, yeah, obviously that's the kind of things that we really would like. And if you were voted, we would really appreciate your help in pushing for those things, and particularly for justice, where if people felt that the deals they were being offered were going to financially disadvantage them. Can we move on just to the developer agreement, which, as we understand, is like a contract with the developer? What can you and would you be willing to do to support us to ensure that the council do not sign the developer agreement on terms that would be disadvantageous to the community of Ladywood?
Again, this can be scrutinized. So this is where your MPs, if I'm elected, this is something I will be doing, is scrutinizing that developer agreement to make sure that the residents are not financially disadvantaged in any way.
And so would you have access to it?
Yes. So as an MP, we will work very closely with the council on this. I can ask to see that. I can ask for them to involve me in it. Remember, so the Labour government have said that they're going to change the current planning laws so that they can do a blanket development. So there will be very little opportunity for residents to input into anything. So, because they want to build houses. And that's in their current manifesto. So it's really, it's the Conservatives that have, being more, have put all these consultation processes and all in place to take resident consultations where it plays a large role in development plans such as this. So the future, we need to have a strong MP who's going to be fighting, and standing by y'all and fighting these plans that's going to be disadvantageous to the residents completely.
And with regards to affordable housing, that's one of the concerns that a number of residents are reporting to us. We understand that the Birmingham Development Plan says that new projects should have a minimum of 35% affordable housing. What could you do as an MP to press the council to ensure that the developer includes that amount at least?
Yeah, again, it's working with the council. So it's working very closely with them to make sure that they stick to those numbers that's on the development plan. And they can easily say we don't have the money, right? The builders want to make a little more money for us to deliver this. But it's again...
Right, because there's this viability clause, isn't there, that in the business plan, they say that the provision of affordable housing is subject to them, the developer, being able to make a 20% profit. And again, we understand that there's a sort of common practice amongst developers to actually trigger that viability clause. Again, would you be willing to push to stop that from happening and
absolutely
put into law things that would prevent not only it happening here, but in other places around the country.
No, absolutely. If elected, it is important. I will be standing along. I will be pushing to support the residents and community comes first. So this is where that government procurement framework, there is a framework to procure a reputable developer. So it's really important that you keep a close eye that they follow these processes. And so when you have a reputable developer and they've got plenty of money in the bank, to support the development. Currently in Milton Keynes, across the border, there is a development that is happening, which the developers have now gone bankrupt. So, after all the consultation, I think they're about to go into administration. So I'm not sure where they are now, but these things can happen. And at the same time, it's just adding an enormous amount of burden onto residents. So,
That's
I will
why
be
we
working
need the
very
MP to
closely.
really stand up for us and
No, absolutely.
do
That will
what
be
we.
my top priority. And
Thank
working with the council to make sure that residents are listened to, that residents are heard, and that we do everything possible to support the residents, and that they're not going through any undue duress. It's really not fair. It's really not fair to do that to them.
So, with regards to affordable housing, you would be
Absolutely.
the council and the developer to include 35% affordable housing?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And the other thing, what as residents can do is also feed that into that resident and community charter, because that is really, really important that everyone say that this has to happen, because you can't ignore thousands of residents saying 35% affordable housing is a must. Right? That will be, how can you take that and say, oh no, we are going to stick to 15% affordable housing, because there's every resident saying, no, you have to stick to this plan. And definitely I will make sure that I will be pushing for that to happen.
Thank you. You mentioned that the developer obviously is a business with a lot of money at its disposal, and one of the things that we as residents struggle with is the fact that we are not specialists in this area, and that we really need independent and specialist advice. Now, we've been promised it, and we hear little snippets about it, but I don't think the community as a whole has heard anything concrete about the independent and specialist advice that we've been told we will have. What can you actually do to help secure that specialist advice that the council have promised us?
Let's work with the council to make sure that this happens. You currently have an MP who's not doing anything, who's not having these conversations, and you have that platform to do that. When you're an elected representative representing your people, so many doors open and you can have those conversations. So it's so important that you push for that independent and specialist advice. And it's something that as an MP, I can facilitate. So why would I not facilitate that?
Thank you. I think it's important to say that Shabana Mahmood is not here currently to respond, but that on our platforms you will also be able to see a video recorded with her as well. Residents are also reporting that they're concerned about the negative environmental impacts of demolishing perfectly good quality properties. Where do you stand on protecting the natural environment?
Definitely not for destroying the natural environment. It's a wider issue as well, because the council will be looking at it from different angles. It's easier to demolish everything and put it up. But again, the council needs to be encouraged to look at it and think a bit differently. If we don't need to take down a certain area, then perhaps we can build around it, make it, enhance that environment rather than bringing it down and burdening the residents, on top of that destroying the natural environment. So, these are things, again, that you can feed into the resident and community charter, and that because that is going to be a base on how the master plan will develop. And it's something that, as your MP, I will be definitely doing to support you.
Is there anything that the Conservatives are talking about in terms of how development projects and the need for building houses will be balanced with the protection of the natural environment? The natural environment, particularly, obviously, we really value our community environment as well. But in terms of the natural environment, and the damage that potentially could come, the harm that could come just from destroying thousands of bricks and mortar concrete homes.
Yeah, no, we are definitely we understand the need for housing, but we are not doing it the Conservatives are not looking at doing it in a way that's going to ruin the nature and the natural environment around us. We are very, very careful in how we do that, which is why we are always pushing to even protect our green belts from being developed. So we're always pushing even regeneration should happen, in areas where and in Birmingham, you've got so many abandoned buildings, which can be easily regenerated without destroying the natural environment. So there are lots of ways to do this, and it's important that the council begins to think about it along those lines. And as Conservatives, we are working to make sure that you get the housing that you need, but not at the cost of destroying the natural environment. And those are very clear in how we've laid it out in our manifesto as well.
You mentioned consultation earlier and the importance of good consultation. What would you do to challenge laws that permit inadequate engagement and consultation with residents? I'm conscious that consultation can appear tokenistic and like a tick box exercise. And really what we're looking for is participation and putting the community at the center of decision making. What's your feeling about engaging with the community, and what would you be willing to push for in terms of the law with regards to putting residents right at the center of the development of their own communities?
I can't remember, I'm not 100% certain whether there is a law around, but I'm sure there is a statutory requirement that a resident consultation take place. I don't know whether there is a law, that is very specific around it. So I can't, but I wish, I'm happy to go back and have a look at that. And if I am your MP, and if there is, no such regulation where it's a legal requirement that the consultation takes place and that residents' concerns are heard and included in the following master plans that's being developed, it should be law. Because it's really important that residents are included in these conversations. And I think it shouldn't be a tick box exercise if that's what the councils are doing, and that's wrong. And I'm very much happy to champion that. That is something hugely important. That's something what I think and I believe should happen. And residents' values and opinions should be taken on board because it's where they live, it's their home, it's their community, and they definitely have a say in it, and we have to respect that. And I will, it'll be my top priority to champion that aspect of it as well.
Thank you. I think you've mentioned your feeling that our current MP is hard to access. You've acknowledged, I think, some of the challenges which our community have had with engaging with our local councillors and seeing them standing up for us, particularly with regards to access to yourself. You'll no doubt be busy if you are elected as our MP. How would you handle the kind of situation in the future where there's lots of requests for help from you? How would you ensure that those requests are both heard and answered as our MP?
So, as an elected representative, I feel very strongly about this, that if you are an elected representative, that you remain in your constituency and you serve the people that you are elected to serve. So if I'm elected, I will be living in Birmingham permanently. I'm now currently renting a place for the duration of this election. So I will be easily accessible. I am a firm believer in working very closely with my community. So I will never be too busy for my community because they are the ones who have elected me. And I take that responsibility very, very seriously. So it's certainly not going to happen on my watch where people will say, oh, we can't have access to you. If I'm somebody who, if my residents reach out, I show up on their doorstep and we have, we go for a walk, we have a chat about what's bothering them. And I take it back to the council. So that's the kind of person I am. And if I am elected, that's the kind of person I will, you will have access to me at any time. I will never be too busy for you. So that's for sure.
Thank you. Just a couple of final questions. One on just the poor quality of some of the properties that are owned by the council. Our tenants report, and we've seen properties which have been allowed to get into very poor condition and are not receiving prompt repairs. How might you support, how would you want to support people in getting those prompt repairs?
So it's something I have actually spoken about with many residents. And also I've then gone back to the Conservative councillors in the council in Birmingham, in the Birmingham City Council. And they've said, it's a huge problem, and I've been trying to already understand how we can help make these repairs quicker and again push for the council to deliver on time. Residents cannot live in these conditions. I have been to homes that are covered in mold and it's uninhabitable, and it's not fair that you put young people and families in that kind of situation. So I will definitely be working hard to make sure that they have, if they have the right, that they get the funding that they need, because it's always something they say, oh, we don't have the funding to do this, and that they are also held, that there is a turnaround time, and that they stick to that turnaround time. You have to help them straight away. It's your duty. You have a duty of care to people living in those conditions. You can't let them live like that. So, I will be pushing for the council to improve that and bring it up to the decent home standards. And again, doing it in a timely manner. And again, holding them to account when they're not delivering things on time. It's important that we set deadlines and that they adhere to those deadlines. Because at the end of the day, we don't want residents to, all of this affects their health, their mental health, their physical health, and it's not okay. Like I said, we have a duty of care to our residents.
Shazna, at the minute you're a bit behind in the polls. Could you give us a reason why it would be good to vote for you?
Because I am hugely passionate about delivering for all of you. I feel like you have been neglected by your current MP who's been there for the last 14 years, and I can't stress on that enough, because whilst it's very easy to go back and say, oh, we haven't, they haven't got the money to do this or that, there is so much that as an MP we can do to help you. And I have a track record of delivering for the residents that I represent. And above all, you need an MP who's going to stand shoulder to shoulder with you, fighting for you all the time, not just locally, but also investments. If there are laws that need to be changed, there are laws that need to be reformed to support you through this process, you need an MP who is going to stand up tall with you and fight your corner every step of the way. And that's the kind of person I am.
Just in case people wanted to just check out your track record, where is it that you have been working as or serving as a councillor?
In Milton Keynes. So you've got my Facebook page as well as my website, so you can see all the stuff that I'm doing, because I try and update it as much as I can. Of course, the last month or so I haven't been very good at updating, but it's all there. And even on the Milton Keynes my Facebook page, you can you can see all the stuff that I've been doing for my residents as well.
Thank you very much, Shazna. We really appreciate your time. What is a very busy time for you. Thank you for answering our questions, and we do appreciate the time that you've given to us.
And Andy, if there's any more questions, just, I'm happy to take any questions from residents directly. They can email me as well, and I'll get back to them, because I understand they're going through a very, very tough time, a lot of uncertainty, and I'd like to reassure them that if elected, I will definitely be there fighting with you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your time as well, Andy.